Hello everyone, my name is Jojo. Welcome to my channel Joyroute-jojo. Today we start a new tutorial series on Microsoft 365 administration. We will follow MS-102 syllabus. This is the syllabus for MS-102 exam. Deploy and manage Microsoft 365 tenant. Implement and manage Microsoft Entra identity and access. Manage security and threats by using Microsoft Defender. Manage compliance by using Microsoft Purview. So all these modules are there for the Microsoft 365 Administrator exam, which is MS-102. So we follow the same syllabus and I try to do videos on the same syllabus. So we start from the first module, which is deploy and manage Microsoft 365 tenant. So here in the Microsoft exam page, exam MS-102 Microsoft 365 Administrator, they provide some documents to prepare for this exam. What I plan to do, I will just go through with all these documents, and whatever is written in text, I will convert to video. This is what I plan to do with this tutorial series. Along with that, I will try to create some practical videos and introduce the 365 admin portal and all those stuffs. All right. So module 1, it is implement and manage Microsoft 365 tenant. So first comes create a tenant. So we will be creating a tenant. I will show you in this video how to create a tenant. After creating the tenant, we will just log into the Microsoft 365 admin center, and I will just introduce the 365 admin center, all the options and menus we have in 365 admin center. So this is the part of this particular video, and ongoing we will see all the syllabus areas, like module by module we will be discussing in this tutorial series. So let us start. Create a tenant. So to build your cloud computing foundation, you must first understand the relationship between Microsoft 365 subscription and Microsoft Entra tenant. If you use a Microsoft 365 plan, it provides access various Microsoft products like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and along with cloud services for storage, collaboration, and communication. For example, like Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, Microsoft Teams, and more. So all these services we get it once if you purchase Microsoft 365 plan. It according to the plan you get these services. So when an organization subscribes to Microsoft 365 plan, it creates some user accounts, assign licenses to those accounts, and manage subscription settings. So when an organization purchases a subscription to Microsoft 365 plan, such as Microsoft 365 E3 or E5, if a organization purchase either E3 or E5 plan, Microsoft create a Microsoft Entra tenant that support those Microsoft 365 services. So when you purchase the subscription, Microsoft create an Entra tenant that support those Microsoft 365 services. So this Microsoft Entra tenant is underlying foundation that enable user authentication, authorization, and other identity related functionalities for the Microsoft 365 services such as Office applications, Exchange Online, SharePoint, Teams, and more. In summary, a Microsoft 365 subscription is a paid plan that gives an organization access to the Microsoft cloud services. A Microsoft Entra tenant is a container. So what is Microsoft Entra tenant? It's a container that holds all the resources and associated with that subscription. So Microsoft Entra tenant, it's a container that holds all resources associated with that subscription. Learn how we can create a tenant. So before creating a tenant, let me just introduce the plans before you, which Microsoft offers to us. If your organization is having 300 and below users, 300 and below users in your organization, then you can go with Microsoft 365 Business Basic, Standard, Premium, and you have Microsoft 365 App for Business. With the business standard plan, you can get support up to 300 users. Even for the premium also, you get up to 300 users only. So if your organization is having below 300 users, then you can choose any of this plan, and the cost is given here. The services you get from the basic, standard, and premium vary according to the plan. In your case, your organization is too big and you have got thousands of users. In that case, you can purchase an enterprise plan. Either you can go with Microsoft 365 E3, 365 E5, or F3. And there is no option to directly purchase this plan. You will have to contact sales, you will have to contact any partner, Microsoft partners, and commonly the partners will purchase this for you, and they will allocate this license. They will create the tenant for you and allocate to you. Normally this is the practice that follow in the organization in the Microsoft field. So if your organization is very small, it is only having 300 users and below 300 users, then you can select any of these. Now I'll just show you how you can create a tenant. To select any of this plan, for the example, I'm selecting Microsoft 365 Business Standard. I free for 1 month. Let me click on that. Or you can purchase it if you want to purchase. Show the demo. I'm just clicking on try free for 1 month. Here you just mention how many people is this for. Only for one user, 30 user, you can mention it here. In my case, it is just one user. Let me click on next.
Here you will have to add your work or school email ID. Just add that and click next.
Now you have to set up an account. So with the standard, you get all these services like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Publisher, Access, Teams collaboration, OneDrive, cloud storage. So we have to set up the account. Let me click on set up account. Give the first name. I give it as my company name. I give it as Joyroute. Then the last name I mention as Jojo. Phone number I provide some number. And the company name I mention it as Joyroute-jojo. This is my company name, and company size it is just 24 people, 20 to 24. Country region I select it as Oman, MNO Oman. Yeah, I would like to share the information. Click on that and click on next. So it will ask you to send a verification code. Verify that. Here you have to provide the sign-in details. So this will be your domain name. So with this will when you log into the 365 admin center, this will be your username and password. So please keep this username and password safe, and keep it separately. Click on next. It's creating an account and signing you in. All right, now we have to make the payment. As it's a free version, I have to just provide the credit card details. It won't cost anything for 1 month. After 1 month, if you are not canceling this, it will charge you the cost, whatever it shows here. Make sure you cancel it before the date. Otherwise, it may amount will be deducted from your debit card or credit card. All right, if I complete this add payment method, then my tenant will be created. All right, so now we have created the tenant. I have showed you how to create the tenant. I already have a tenant, so we'll just log into that and we'll show you that the overview of the admin center. All right, so to log into the admin center, we have to type https://admin.microsoft.com. This is the look and feel of the 365 admin center. Here you have users. Under users, you have all the active users, contact, guest user, deleted user, and all those details you get it from here. We will be seeing how to create a user, how to delete user, what is guest users. So all this we'll be discussing in the coming videos. The first thing we are going to do post logging to the Microsoft 365 admin center is nothing but configure your Microsoft 365 organization profile. So that is the first thing that you have to do. So to to configure your Microsoft 365 organization profile, you have to come down under settings. You have organization settings, select that, and here you could see organization profile. So click on that, and here you have organization information. Before going to that, let me tell you one thing. Completing your company's organization profile is a starting point when setting up your company's Microsoft Entra tenant. Some of the properties that Microsoft 365 administrator must maintain cause the provisioning process to halt if they are incomplete, which means if you are not giving the proper details, organization information, then the provisioning process may halt. For example, one such attribute is address line. The provisioning process stops. I repeat, the provisioning process stops if an organization does not have complete address. One important thing is that you must be assigned the global administrator role to update your company's organization profile. So to allocate admin role, you can come here and role assignment, you can do that. These things we are going to take it in details. The first thing first, we will talk about the organization profiles, what all settings to be done here in the organization profile we will be checking now. So the first thing, organization information. You have to fill all the organization information properly. And if you want to make any changes, you can do it here. I cannot show this particular tenant organization information. Instead, I could show a picture where what all details it's there, I can show you here. Here comes the name of your organization. If you want to change, you want to make any changes in your organization name, you can make the changes here. Then comes the street address, city, state and province, postal code. So these details to be filled because these are a mandatory field. You will have to fill all these settings, all these fields. There comes something called country or region. You cannot change the country. It is disabled area. Once you set up a tenant, you cannot change the country. Maybe you raise a ticket with Microsoft. Will they help you or not? I do not know. But from your end, you are not able to change the country or region, and you have to give the phone number, technical contact, and preferred language. There is something to say about preferred language. There is one issue concerning the preferred language field that you should be aware of. The preferred language determines the language for all the communication that Microsoft sent to your organization. So if you select English, all communication that Microsoft sent to you in English. So if you select some other language, like instead of English, you select Spanish. So Microsoft will be communicating to you in Spanish. And you can make the changes here. In future, if you want to make any changes to your preferred language, you can make it here. So when you signing up, these settings also determine the language used by SharePoint Online. So in the beginning stage, when you create the tenant, there you have selected the language. So that determines the language used for SharePoint Online. You cannot change the language for SharePoint Online, which your users see on your team site. If you change the preferred language after you sign up, that means after you signing up, after you log into your Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and this time you're going to change the language here, this does not take effect for SharePoint Online. However, the language used by SharePoint Online remains in the original language selected because you cannot change it. So whatever you have selected while creating the tenant, that would be the language that will be the permanent language for SharePoint Online. But for all other communication, if you want to make changes, you can make it here. I think I'm clear with this topic. All right. So after filling up your organization information, if you want to make any changes here, you do that. Then come back to your custom themes. If you want to make any changes to your look and feel of this 65 admin center, you can do it here. So here you can select up to 4 customized according to the document. It says you can create up to four different customized theme, and you can apply to different groups. For example, a group in the HR department, they want to see a different theme. You can set it here and allocate to that particular group. That can be done. So here you can add the theme and do that settings here. We'll just check it out what all things are there in the default theme, and we have a default theme. Let me click on default theme, and here you show the usage display name. As I have selected here, it says my name here. If you do not want, you can uncheck and save this. So when you log out and log in, the name will be disappeared from here. If you go to logos, there are two options to bring the logo to Office 365. One is through URL. You can put it in some location, and you can through URL you can update it, or you can upload it directly from the computer. So what I have done, I have uploaded from my computer. I have uploaded a logo. I just selected one picture and I just added as a logo here. And if you want to make any changes to the navigation bar, consider this navigation bar, the top navigation bar, presently it is in the black color. You want to change to blue, you can do it here. Let me select blue. Okay, and I'm going to save this. If I just log out and log in again, this top navigation bar will be changed. Let us see. Yeah, so it has changed to blue color right now on the top navigation bar. So we'll go back again to the settings, organization settings, and or setting up the organization profile and custom theme. In this way, if you want to make any changes in the default theme, you can do it here, adding the logo, colors. You can just go through and do the changes accordingly. All right. Now, here we have something called data location. If you want to see where your data, your Exchange mailbox data is saved, or your SharePoint data is saved, you can check it from here. Go on data location. Here you could see my Exchange Online is saved in India. Exchange Online Protection is in Asia Pacific. Microsoft Team is in India. OneDrive is in India. SharePoint is in India. So where the data location, you could see it from here. And if you want to know some keyboard shortcuts, it is given here to manage your 365 admin center. Here they have given a lot of keyword and shortcuts like active usage. You can add user with the shift A plus U. You can add a user, reset password with the shift plus R plus P. Contacts, you can add it with the shift A plus C. Add a group. So all that keyboard shortcut is provided here. That is an overall idea about the organization profile and settings you can configure before setting up anything else in this 365 admin center. Manage your tenant subscription in Microsoft 365. Maintaining minimum subscription requirement is essential for organization to remain functional, which means we should have minimum subscription requirement for an organization to remain it functional. Purchasing an insufficient number of licenses can result in implementation delays, while purchasing an excessive number of licenses can result in overspending. So all active and deprovision licenses can be reviewed from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So we could, from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, which is this particular page, from here we can know all active and deprovision licenses can be viewed from here. In the left-hand navigation pane, this is the left-hand navigation pane, under billing group, licenses page, under subscription, you can view all your available licenses, assigned licenses, and account type. So all those details you will be able to see it here. All information about an organization existing subscriptions, including billing and payment information, is available within this billing group. This group includes such as your products, licenses, billing and payment, billing accounts, payment methods and billing notifications. So we will see one by one. What is your products? What we have in your products? This page displays all the plans. This page displays all the plans purchased by an organization. So here you could see we have purchased some business premium plan and available licenses, purchase quantity, everything you could see it here. It is possible to manage it from here. Then comes licenses. Then comes licenses. This page provides a summary of the licenses that you have subscribed to or for each plan purchased by an organization, including all the available licenses for each plan. Consider you have multiple products that you have purchased here. So here in the licenses, you could see summary of the licenses that you have subscribed to each plan purchased for an organization, including all the licenses for each plan could be visible here. Then comes bills and payment. So billing and payments. This page provides a history of all invoices charged to your organization along with the payments methods and billing profiles. All right, that is what comes under bills and payments. Then comes bills account. This page manages an organization purchasing relationship with Microsoft. Each billing account contains defining information about the organization. For example, addresses, contact information, and any tax information that applies. All those billing account details are visible here. Then comes payment methods. Then comes the payment methods. This page enables an organization to define payment methods that it can use to pay for subscription. You can add your payment method here. Then billing notification. This page identifies who receives billing notification with an organization and how each billing statement is received. So this is all about managing your tenant subscription in Microsoft 365. So all that related to your tenant subscription comes under billing and you can manage it over here. All right, let's move on. So configuring the tenant level sharing settings for SharePoint and OneDrive is the next unit in this particular module. This is a big module. We have a lot to cover in this particular module. MS-102, configure your Microsoft 365 tenant. As we are aware, SharePoint and OneDrive are two cloud-based platforms that allow us to store, share, and collaborate all files and folders in Microsoft 365. The external sharing features of SharePoint and OneDrive allow or let users in your organization to share content with people outside the organization. You can also use external sharing to share between licensed users on multiple Microsoft 365 subscription if your organization has more than one subscription. This particular training unit focuses on how organization can change their organization level sharing settings. When it comes to SharePoint, we have sharing settings in organization level and site level. So this particular unit focuses on organization level sharing settings. To allow external sharing on any site, you must allow it at organization level first. OneDrive sharing settings can be the same as more restrictive than SharePoint settings. Only global administrators and SharePoint administrators in Microsoft 365 can change organizational level sharing settings for SharePoint and OneDrive. So to change the organization external SharePoint settings for SharePoint and OneDrive, you must navigate to sharing page of SharePoint Admin Center. So let us practically see how we can change the organization level external sharing settings. Change organizational level SharePoint settings, you have to come to SharePoint Admin Center. SharePoint Admin Center, you can get it from Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and here you could see the admin centers. Here you select SharePoint. You click on this, that will land on this particular page. And here under policies, you have sharing option. So on sharing page that appears, there are several sections of settings that you can configure, like external sharing, files and folders link. Then you have more external sharing settings. Then comes other settings. Here you have then you have advanced settings for anyone links. So we will check one by one. First one, external sharing. This section of sharing page allow you to configure the overall settings for your organization. So in the external sharing, we have multiple options here. So the first one is anyone. Anyone means allow users to share files and folders by using links that let anyone who has the link access the files and folders without authenticating. So that is what meant by anyone. Then comes the next one. We select the next one, which is new and existing guest, which means require people who received invitation to sign in their work or school account or Microsoft account or to provide a code to verify their identity. So this is what meant by new or existing guest. Then comes existing guest. Allow sharing only with the guests who are already in your directory. These guests might exist in your directory because they previously accepted sharing invitation. Here comes the least permissive one, which is only people in your organization. No external sharing allowed. Completely we are turning off the external sharing. So this is an overall about external sharing. Now comes files and folder links. The next section of sharing page is nothing but file and folder links. So this section of the sharing page allow you to choose the option to show by default when a user create a sharing link. This setting specifies the default for your organization, but you can choose the different default link type for a site. So we have three different sharing option, like for specific people, only people in your organization, anyone with a link. All these three options are there. So we will specifically see what happens with specific people. So this option, you select this particular option, this is most restrictive and impedance broad internal sharing. If you allow external sharing, this option let users share with specific people outside the organization. So the next option is nothing but only people in your organization. If the link are forwarded, they work for anyone in the organization. So if you select this one, it works anyone with your organization. This option is best if your organization shares broadly internally and very rarely shares externally. In that situation, you can select only people in your organization. Then comes anyone with the link. This option is available only if your external sharing settings is set to anyone. Forwarded links work internally and externally, but you cannot track who has access shared items or who access shared items. This option is best for friction-free sharing if most files and folders in SharePoint and OneDrive are not sensitive. In such situation, we can select anyone with link. Now come some advanced settings for anyone links. This section of sharing page enable you to select expiration and permission option for anyone links. So we have link expiration. This link expires on this particular date or something, you can select it. Then comes link permission. You can restrict anyone links so that they can only provide with few permission for files and folders. So that settings you can do it here. Then the last one is other settings. We have three other settings: show owners and name of people who viewed their files in OneDrive. Let site owners choose to display the names of people who viewed files and pages in SharePoint. Use short links or sharing files and folders. So these other settings also we have in the sharing page. So in overall, we have all the sharing settings for the organization level is done over here, and each settings we have discussed right now. All right, let's move on. We are in the first module of MS-102 exam, which is configure your Microsoft 365 experience. In this, we have covered all these points and we have discussed configure tenant level sharing settings for SharePoint and OneDrive just now. Now we move to the next point, next unit, which is nothing but configure tenant level settings for Microsoft Teams. So let us discuss channel level settings for Microsoft Teams. Say Microsoft 365 administrator, we can configure various organization level tenant settings for Microsoft Teams. These settings affect how users and guests can access and use Teams features and capabilities. The first settings is nothing but guest access. What guest access will do, it allow you to enable or disable guest access to Teams. Guests are external users who can participate in your team chat, calls, meetings, and channels, but have limited access to other resources. They can only participate in Teams chat, calls, meetings, and channels, but have limited access to other resources. You can also control which domain can have guest access in your organization and which team features are available to guests. So to log into the Teams admin center, I can just practically show you where you can enable guest access. So we are in the Microsoft 365 admin center. If you come to admin center, you have team admin center here. Click on that. That will lead you Microsoft team admin center. Here under the left blade under users, you have guest access. You can enable guest access on or off. So when you turn it on, what happens when this is on, people in your organization can invite guest users to access teams and channels in your organization. If you turn this off, guests cannot sign into your teams using their guest account. So that you can enable it here. And we move to the next one, team settings. Here under team setting, it allows you to customize various aspects of team, such as app setup policies, meeting policies, messaging policies, the live event policies, voice settings, and device settings. As part of team settings, let us discuss some major settings that you can enable it in Teams Admin Center. The first one is nothing but meeting policies. You click on meeting policies, you get some default meeting settings here, or you can add or create some meeting policies. You can customize the meeting policy. For example, I create a customized meeting policy right now here, and I name it as test policy. And here, meeting and join lobby. So this is the first one which I want to discuss with you. Anonymous users can join meeting. What happens if you turn it on? When this is on, anyone can join Teams meeting, including Teams users in other organizations that are not on your allowed domain list. So even if that user is not in part of your allowed domain list, if this is turned on, then during the meeting he can join. If this is turned off, no anonymous user can join in any meetings. So only the people, anonymous users, if some other organization users want to join to the meeting, this is to be turned on. And this is content sharing. This is some settings related to your screen sharing. You can, if you not enable, then users cannot share the screen. Or if it is entire screen, then you can share the entire screen in the Teams meeting. Who can present? Everyone can present. People in my organization and guests can present. Only organization and co-organization can present. So here about the content sharing, you have the settings here. For the whiteboard, collaborate innovation, and live share. So all these settings comes under here. Then something related to record and transcription. If you want to record the meeting, then this to be on. Otherwise, you won't be able to record the session. And here comes transcription. And you can turn on your transcription here. All right. So there are a lot of settings for related to meeting policies that you can set it. Either you can edit the default policy which is available here, or you can add a customized policy for our, and you can create a customized policy and you can assign to certain groups here. So that's about team settings. Then about the Teams app, allow you to manage the apps that users can access and use in Teams. In our Teams, we can integrate many of the applications. So it allow you to manage the apps that users can access and use in Teams. You can view, approve, upload, block, or uninstall apps. Those settings you can do it in the Teams admin center. If you check each and every point, then this session will be very lengthy. So what I want to show you only the important settings that impact in a organization. Now about the teams analytics and report, which allow you to monitor and analyze the usage and performance of teams in your organization. You can view various reports and dashboards such as teams usage activity report, teams device usage report, the teams live event usage report, and the call quality dashboard. So all these reports are available. To view the report, what you have to do, you have to come in Teams Admin Center, come down here, analytics and report. You have usage report, reporting label, call quality dashboard. So all those reports comes under here. So let us verify some reports. What all comes under report? You have all these options: app usage report, external domain activity, Teams device usage, Teams webinar usage, Teams town hall usage. You can explore it. Once you, what I suggest, you create a test tenant and please explore all these options. All right. So I was just trying to get some Teams usage report for last 7 days. Unfortunately, as I do not, we do not have any data to show because we don't make any calls in this test tenant. So the data is zero here. In other ways, you can get some Teams usage data. If it is a in the production environment, we get the data here. All right. So this is all about configure the tenant level share settings for Microsoft Teams. All right, the remaining we will discuss. We have two more points here in the first module, so that we will discuss in the next video. Let's discuss about enable unified audit logging in Microsoft 365. Unified audit logging is a feature in Microsoft 365. It's a feature of Microsoft 365 that allow you to track and record user and admin activities. So once if you enable it, you will be able to track and record user and admin activities across various services and applications such as Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive, Teams, Power BI, and Microsoft Entra ID. So once if you enable this unified audit logging, what you will be able to do, you will be able to track and record all the user and admin activities across various services and applications. With unified audit logging, you can monitor and investigate security incidents, compliance violations, and operational issues. You can also generate audit reports and alert based on specific events and criteria. The unified audit log provides a centralized collection of audit events related to Microsoft 365. So the unified audit log provides a centralized collection of audit events related to Microsoft 365. It encompasses activities such as file downloads from SharePoint or OneDrive, user sign-ins, and administrative actions. You can access audit log through Microsoft Purview compliance portal. So I will practically see where you can view audit log and what all searches you can do it in the audit log in Microsoft Purview or compliance portal. So if you enable this unified audit logging in Microsoft 365, it helps us to achieve some benefits such as enhanced security and compliance by detecting and responding to suspicious or unauthorized activities such as data breaches, malware attacks, or policy violations. The other benefit is something like improve operational efficiency and performance by identifying and resolving issues such as configuration errors, service outages, or user feedback. The third advantage is nothing but gain insight and visibility into user behavior and preferences by analyzing and reporting on user actions such as file accessing, sharing, collaboration, or communications. So this audit log captures wide range of activities, including application administrative activities, Microsoft Defender for identity activities, and some custom searches. Now we do not have to enable this unified audit logging in Microsoft 365. It is by default, it is enabled for Microsoft 365 organization. But earlier we had to enable it from the portal or through PowerShell or some or Cloud Shell, we have to enable unified audit logging. But nowadays, it is automatically turned on by default in Microsoft 365 organization. So, however, when setting up a new Microsoft 365 organization, you should begin by verifying the auditing status for your organization. So, even if it is by default, it is turned on. As an administrator, it is your duty to verify it whether it is turned on or not, because this is a platform where unified audit logging is possible. All right. This is all about unified audit logging. What is unified audit logging? What all advantages we have? And some features about audit log. Now we will practically see this in the portal. We are in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Here, if you click on Show, we have a compliance portal. Click on that. That will take us to Microsoft Purview page. And here under Solutions, here in the left hand side blade, here under Solution, you have Auditing. So here, if it looks like this, you can understand that this is enabled by default. Okay, in some cases this audit logging may not be enabled, so it will show a ribbon like a blue color ribbon will show like this, and it will be saying you that start recording user and admin activities. So you have to click here and start the recording activities for user and admin activities. As I told you, by default, it will be enabled in the organization nowadays. So that will look like this. So here you can mention the date and time, the auditing you required. So for example, if you want from September 1st till date, you can select the date and time range. And if you want to specify one particular user activities, that you can mention it here. For example, uh, we have a user called Murali. If you want to specifically see some activities what this particular user has done, here you can do it. Right. So let me just search it. So now it is in progress. It may take some time to generate all the reports related to that particular user. Let's wait. As I told you, this is unified audit logging where you can track and record usage and admin activities across various services and applications such as Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive, Teams, Power BI, and Microsoft Android. So here we have searched all the details about one particular user called Murali, and that particular search has completed. So now let's see what data we have here. And as it's a test environment, we do not have much data performed, oh my god, for this particular user. So I have searched same thing with some other user here, which between one day. So for my ID, if you check it, you could see all the detail, all the activities that I did it in different, that particular user had did it in different applications and across various services. uh, he has logged into Teams, Exchange items, some aggregation he has done it, then Azure Active Directory, uh, system logon he has done, and only these activities, as it's a test environment, we get only very few activities related to this particular user. If it was in a production environment and we are searching the activities of one particular user, you will get all the activities of that particular user that he has conducted in different applications and services like Exchange Online, SharePoint, Teams, all the applications and services. So that is a brief idea about audit search. What you can, as I told you, what you can do, you can create a tenant and and explore all these options which Microsoft offers to us. All right. So that was all about enable unified audit logging in Microsoft 365. So after that, we have complete your tenant configuration Microsoft 365. Let me click on that. So what at the end of this session, what they say, you have to create, as an administrator, you have to create a checklist and follow that checklist and make sure we have completed all the tasks related to tenant configuration first before we move to anything else in the Microsoft 365. In an organization, Microsoft 365 administrator is typically responsible for creating and managing all the company's Microsoft 365 user accounts. So as an administrator, you will have to create the user account. You are responsible for to create the user accounts. So this particular module, which I name it as chapter 2 of module 1, we focus on manage usage, license, guest, and contact in Microsoft 365. This process include these 3 points like creating and managing user accounts, assigning Microsoft 365 license to users, recovering deleted user account. Today, we are focusing on creating and managing user accounts. First thing, determine the user identity model for your organization. There are 3 different user identity model in Microsoft 365. To plan user identities, you must first understand the different types of Microsoft 365 user identities, namely like cloud identity, synchronized identity, and federated identities. An organization can choose to maintain identities only in Microsoft 365. This is called cloud identity. Or you can choose your on-premise that sync to Microsoft 365. This is called synchronized identity, and or you can third one, which is federated identity. So we will talk about these 3 right now. Let's talk about the cloud identity, which is the first identity model, which is Microsoft 365 cloud identity, 0 on-premises servers. First, let us discuss about Microsoft 365 cloud identity. A cloud identity is a user account that only exists in Microsoft Entra ID. While an organization can create cloud identity with the same name as on-premise Active Directory domain services user account, there is not any link between these 2 accounts, which means you can have separate local Active Directory. You can create usage there with the same usage you can create in Microsoft 365 cloud identity, and you can create the same user in local Active Directory, but both will be different. There is no link between these 2 accounts. So that is what meant by cloud identity. So all the users are in cloud. There is 0 on-premise servers. Now comes the other one, which is Microsoft 365 synchronized identity. A synchronized identity is a user that exists in on-premise AD, which means it actually exists in local Active Directory and in Microsoft 365. It exists both in on-premise and Microsoft 365. The system synchronized and linked together the ADDS user and Microsoft 365 user. The system then synchronizes any changes that you later make in on-premise user account to the Microsoft 365 user account. So this is actually done through Azure AD Connect. Nowadays it is known as Microsoft Entra Cloud Sync. So through this application that stands in between your local Active Directory and your Microsoft 365 identity about Azure AD Connect. Earlier days it was known as Azure AD Connect. Now it is called Microsoft Entra Cloud Sync. About this, I have already done a video in my channel. You can watch it I can put it in the description. You can watch that, how to install and configure this Azure AD Connect or Microsoft Entra Cloud Sync. The latest version, how to sync, what all configuration it is there in that. That all I have done a video, so you can watch that from the description. I can add the link in the description. You can watch it from there. All right, let's move on. So now comes the third one, which is federated identity. A federated identity refers to an identity that an external identity provider. So it can be any identity provider, which is a third-party identity provider. When a user attempt to access federated services such as Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Entra ID, redirect the authentication request to designed trusted external identity provider. The external identity provider is referred to as a trusted because it has a mutual understanding and agreement with Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Entra ID regarding the authentication and authorization process for federated identities. So what we have to understand here, as I told you, there are three different type of identity models. All right, let's move on. Now we are going to compare all the three, like cloud identity, synchronized identity, and federation identity, federated identity. What are the advantages? Cloud identity user account only exists in Microsoft 365. There is no account in on-premise. When it comes to synchronized identity, user account exists in local Active Directory and identical user in exists in Microsoft 365. So whatever identity we have in the local Active Directory, that gets synchronized to the Microsoft 365. When it comes to federated identity, synchronized user account authenticated by using ADFS, which means it's a third-party synchronization method. You can use it and you can integrate. Best for small cloud identity is best for small to medium-sized organization or organization that do not need local Active Directory domain services anymore. So such environments, if it is a very small organization and it doesn't require local Active Directory, then you can choose cloud identity. If your organization running on-premise local directory already are using planning to move to the cloud, then you can use synchronized identity. And if your organization is too big and you have got a lot of authentication mechanism in BTV in the on-premise, then in such scenario you can use synchronized identity. Organization that want to centralize their authentication and authorization processes, organization that run federated authentication systems and require special type of signing such as an ID card, also use this model. Then comes greatest benefit: simple to use, no extra tool required. But when it comes to synchronized identity, same sign-in and where organization must manage identity in only one place. When it comes to federated identity, single sign-on and where organization must manage identities in only one place. All right. So that is all about the best model for your organization. Now let's discuss about create user accounts in Microsoft 365. So depending on the organization needs, it can use the following methods to provision the user account. First one, Microsoft 365 Admin Center. This is a portal, provides a simple web interface for individually creating and managing users, their licenses and permissions. So from the Microsoft 365 admin, you can create the user or import multiple users. This option provide method for bulk import that can be done even from the Microsoft 365 admin center. Then you can create the user from Windows PowerShell. You can use CMD-let based or script based interface to create and manage single and multiple users. Directory synchronization is nothing but to synchronize your local Active Directory to Microsoft 365. So users are synced to Microsoft 365. All right. So now let's practically see how you can create a user from the portal and how you can create bulk user from the portal. All right. All right. Now let's create a user from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. In the left hand side navigation, let's select users and select active users. Here you could see all the active users for this particular organization. Let's click on add user and give the name to that user. For example, I'm giving the name as John. Give the last one name, I give it as Paul. So it has selected the name as John Paul, and the username I select is it, and the username I select as John Paul at this is my domain. We have two options here: automatically create a password, or you can click next, select the location. If it is India, you select it India or some other country, then you provide it accordingly. If you want to allocate the license for that user, you can do it here, or you can mention create user without that license. Click next. If you want to provide any administrator role, you can give it here, like exchange administrator, global reader, or any specific administrator privilege to be given. You can give it from here. Click on next, finish adding. So in this way, you can create a user from the 365 admin center. And if you want to create users in bulk, what you can do, you can click on add multiple user. Here up to 249 user, you can enter it and create it. Or what you can do, you can upload a CSV file. The example format, you get it from here, or you can download this example format, and whatever example is given in the same format, if you enter all your user first name, last name, and username, and the domain name, all those details you provide it there, upload it from here, click next and finish. You can create multiple uses in bulk. So this way you can create uses in bulk. In Microsoft 365 Admin Center, under Teams and Groups, you could see different types of groups here. Teams and Microsoft 365 Groups, distribution list groups, security groups. If you go to Exchange Online, under recipient, you could see Microsoft 365 Group, distribution list groups, dynamic distribution list group, and mail enabled security groups. My intention in this video to explain the difference between all these groups, and other things we will discuss in the other video. From the groups, we could find that Microsoft 365 group and distribution list. So first let us try to understand the difference between Microsoft 365 group and distribution list. These are the two main groups in Microsoft 365. So first let us understand the difference between Microsoft 365 group and distribution list. Distribution list is also known as distribution group. So I have created a PowerPoint for this. So let us try to understand this with the help of this PowerPoint presentation. First, let us understand what is distribution group. Distribution group is also known as distribution list. So it acts solemnly as a mailing list. When an email sent to a distribution group address, it forwarded to all members' personal mailboxes. For example, this particular user is sending mail to sales team at joyroute-jojo.com. So what happened? Whoever member of this particular distribution group, which is in the name of sales team at joyroute-jojo.com, who all these people are member of this particular distribution group. So they get a copy of this mail into their personal mailbox. So what you have to understand, there is no shared inbox where members can collectively view and manage or respond to emails. So it acts just like a distribution list. When a user send an email to this particular distribution group, which is sales team at joyroute-jojo.com, all the members, these are the members of this particular distribution group, so all of them get a copy of that mail in their mailbox. They do not have a common shared mailbox, shared inbox, where members can collectively view and manage or respond to email. But in the case of Microsoft 365 group, what happens? Microsoft 365 groups comes with a shared mailbox that all group members can access. So in this case, all these users has got a shared mailbox and all of them can access this shared mailbox. They may have a separate mailbox and storage space is allocated. All addition to their inbox, into their personal mailbox, they get some shared mailbox. In the case of Microsoft 365 group, this mailbox allow members to send and receive mail from common email address. So all of them can send and mail through sales team at joyroute-jojo.com. All members of the group can view the shared mailbox. So all these members can view the shared mailbox and access emails within it. So when they are member of this group, in their inbox itself, this group will be automatically added as a separate inbox, and all of them can send and receive mail on behalf of this particular group. This option is not available with distribution groups. Distribution group does not have a shared mailbox. It uses it get copy to their own individual mailbox. In addition to this shared mailbox, Microsoft 365 groups provide a shared calendar, OneDrive space, and SharePoint site for document storage and collaboration. Members can communicate via Microsoft Teams, share files, and collaborate on documents in real time. So all these are the benefits of Microsoft 365 group. So this is the major difference between distribution group and Microsoft 365 group. All right. Now we got the difference between Teams and Microsoft 365 groups and distribution list. Same you can see here in the Exchange Admin Center also. Microsoft 365 and distribution list. Distribution list is also known as distribution groups. Now here you could see the other group called security group, and here something called mail enabled security groups. So let us discuss about security groups now. Security groups provides a convenient way to manage and assign permission to multiple users simultaneously. So a security group can grant access permission to resources such as OneDrive and SharePoint. So to grant access only for the permission purpose, we use security groups. You can create a security group and provide permission. When to use these security groups? When you only require a group to grant permissions. In such scenarios, you can use security groups. So what is the difference between security groups and mail enabled security groups? When you mail enables security group, it means the group has an associated email address and members of the group can send and receive email using that address. So along with the security group, a mailbox is attached. A mailbox is enabled but with that security group so that it got a mail address and you can send and receive mail through that security group. That is what meant by mail enabled security group. This design enabled the group to function as a mailing list and or distribution group. It is again act like a distribution group. You know the difference between distribution list or Microsoft 365, which means it does not have a common mailbox. Mail enabled security group enables the group to function as a mailing list or a distribution group, which means it does not have a common mailbox. Instead of that, it send the mail to their individual mailbox. So all their members in this mail enabled security group will receive a copy of that mail into their individual mailbox. So this is what mail enabled security group. When we use this mail enabled security group, when you want to use the group for both permission and mail distribution, in such scenario you want to use some group for both for the permission and mail distribution. In such scenario we use mail enabled security group. Now we miss only one thing, which is dynamic distribution list. See, dynamic distribution list and distribution list or distribution group all are same, but the difference between distribution list and dynamic distribution list is that a dynamic distribution group automatically manage its membership based on predefined criteria or filters. In a traditional distribution group, users manually manage membership, which means in this distribution list, users manually manage the membership. In a dynamic distribution list or distribution group, Microsoft 365 dynamically update its members list based on specific attributes or condition. Through PowerShell, you can mention some condition. If the user belongs to HR department, then let everyone be member of HR at Joyroute-jojo.com, that particular group. In that way, you can create some condition and automatically add the members to dynamic distribution list. This is the uh, difference between distribution group and dynamic distribution group. And when to use this dynamic distribution list or when to use this dynamic distribution group? When you want to have a flexible distribution list that changes membership automatically. In such scenario, you can select dynamic distribution list. This you can create only from Exchange Admin Center. You cannot create Exchange dynamic distribution list from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. You can do it only from uh, Exchange Admin Center. Now, hope you are clear with the difference of all these groups in Microsoft 365. Distribution list, security groups, Microsoft 365 group, mail enabled security group, and distribution list. So we have discussed about all the groups and the difference between all these groups. Now let us create some group. Let us create some Microsoft 365 group. We can create either it from the Exchange Admin Center. Here it is in the name of Teams and Microsoft 365 Group, or you can create it from Exchange Admin Center. So let me create it from here. Teams and Microsoft 365 Group. Add a Microsoft 365 Group. I'm naming the group. Let me name it as Test Microsoft 365 Group. And the name description also I provide the same. Click on next. We should assign an owner for this group. I add myself as a owner to this group. All right. So it has got some team status also. That is why it shows the team symbol here. Click on next, and we are adding the members to the Microsoft 365 group. I have added five members. Click next, and here we have to create a mail address for this group. So I create test M365 at guardianvilla.com. You can set the privacy. Public group can be joined by everyone without getting approval from the group owner. Anyone can access the group content. Private groups are not open for everyone to join them. A group owner are the ones that can add members to them. Only members can access the group content. Let us create it as a private group. If we are creating teams for this group, then this option is grayed out. Let me click on next, and you can create a group. So it when you create a group, it got its own mailbox. It create a shared mailbox and shared resources. When you create a Microsoft 365 group, which means when we create this particular group, it consists of following object: a shared Outlook inbox, a shared calendar, a SharePoint team site, a SharePoint document library, planner, Power BI, Yammer, a team, a roadmap. So all these will be part of this particular Microsoft 365 group. And the collaboration spaces for Microsoft 365 groups differ based on where Microsoft 365 group is created. Now we will discuss about how we can delete a group from Microsoft 365. To delete a group, you have to log into Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Here under Teams and Group, you have active teams and groups. So here we had created a Microsoft 365 group in the name of Test Microsoft 365 Group. So we are going to delete this. You can select this, and here we have an option to delete this group. When we delete this group, all data associated with it will be deleted, including team email conversation, team notebook, documents stored in the team files, and the team calendar. Consider copying, saving any data you would like to keep. You can restore deleted and their data up to 30 days after you delete them. This is the message we get it. I'm going to delete the Microsoft 365 group. So let me click on delete. So 365 group was deleted. Now the deleted group is no more part of Microsoft 365 group. And if you go here under teams and group, we have something called deleted group. So let me navigate to there. And here you could see the deleted group. And this will be available here for the 30 days. So according to Microsoft 365, we call it as soft delete, because you can still restore the group during that time. After 30 days, the system permanently deletes the Microsoft 365 group and its associated contents. Alright, we have an option to restore the group. We can restore the group from here. So when we restore, what exactly happened to a Microsoft 365 group? When you restore a Microsoft 365 group, system automatically restore the following content associated with the group. We will just restore and check it out. I'm going to restore the group. Restoring deleted group. The group has been restored. So it will be available here under teams and groups now. active teams and groups now. All right. So this is again has come back to the same. So let me just select this and let me just go to the membership. He is the owner and all the members are still be part of that group. That's what meant by here. Microsoft 365 Groups object, properties and members in Microsoft 365 Entra ID still be available in that group. All right. Then group email addresses. So here we have a group email address. We'll see that. See, this is the group email address which we created. So this is still available. And Exchange Online, shared inbox and calendar, shared online team sites and files, OneNote notebook, Banner, Teams, Yammer group and groups contented, uh, Yammer group and group content, Power BI and Classic Workspace. All this will be available with Microsoft 365 Group. So I just want to show you that. So with that, we have completed this particular module, which is manage groups in Microsoft 365. How to add custom domain in Microsoft 365. I have logged into Microsoft 365 Admin Center. In the left hand side blade, you could see settings and domain. Click on domain, and here you have the option to add custom domain to Microsoft 365. In my Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you could see certain domains over here. And you could see a custom domain here, and this is the default domain. This is default domain that created Microsoft itself when we created the tenant name. The tenant name will be always on microsoft.com. So this is the tenant name and it is created by Microsoft itself. Before adding a custom domain, we need to plan the custom domain for your Microsoft 365 deployment. There are several factors an organization must consider when planning to add custom domain to Microsoft 365. These factors can differ with Microsoft 365 subscription it select. So what are those factors? The first thing, multiple domains. You can add multiple domains into Microsoft 365 Admin Center. An organization should plan to add the main domain that it is currently uses. For example, datum.com, this is my main domain. So I'm going to add this first. It should also add any other domain that it uses for email messages within the organization. For example, I'm also have condoso.com. So this domain also I can add there. This scenario is common when overall company is a business group. The other factor which we have to consider is subdomains. An organization may want to register subdomains. Microsoft 365 Business Premium and Enterprise Plan enable subdomains to be added under the root domain. For example, londoncollege.com. This is my root domain. All right. So under this root domain, I can create subdomains. Subdomains also should be registered with public DNS. We should be purchased and we should have a subdomain from the public from the domain providers. So this is my main domain and I'm going to have a subdomain in the name of londoncollege.com or the other name students.londoncollege.com. You can have subdomains. So an organization may want to register subdomains. Microsoft 365 Business Premium Enterprise Plan enables subdomains to be added under the root domain. So our root domain is londoncollege.com and teacher.londoncollege.com is the subdomain. All right. Now domain numbers. Here you can add up to 900 domains in Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 support you to add register up to 900 domains with Microsoft 365. And domain adding order, that is the other factor. Root domain must be added before subdomains, which means londoncollege.co must be added first. Only then you should add teacher.londoncollege.com, students.londoncollege.com, all the subdomains. And there are many other factors that to be considered while adding a custom domain to Microsoft 365. These are the main factors that should be considered first. So let us practically try to add a domain to Microsoft 365 Admin Center. For that, let me click on Add a Domain here. It is asking me for the domain name. I'm giving the domain name here as Joyroute-jojo. So how to add the domain? They have provided a video here that you can watch that video if you want. You have to purchase this domain from any domain providers. You can purchase it either from GoDaddy, Namecheap, Google Domains, Bluehost, Domain.com, Hover, Cloudflare, Restarter. So all these are the common or the famous domain providers. You can purchase it from any of these. So normally we use GoDaddy. So I consider I have purchased this from GoDaddy. So how to register this? We have to add some records to in the public domain provider from the public DNS record. For example, GoDaddy, you have to add it. So let us see how we can add that. All right. So I'm just clicking on use this domain. It should have .com. All right. Let me click on use this domain. So it is asking me to add some txt record to the domain DNS record. All right. So how we can add that? For that, what you have to do, you have to go to GoDaddy. This is the GoDaddy site, and under GoDaddy, here you have to select DNS, and under DNS record, add a new record, and here you can add a TXT record. So consider I'm going to add a TXT record. Let me click on continue, and TXT record name is given here, value is given, as you can see in the screenshot. We have to give the name, value, and TTL value. We have to give the TXT value and TTL. So all these three items we have to provide even in the DNS record. After providing this, you can verify. We have to click on verify. Microsoft 365 will verify with public DNS. Apart from TXT, we have to add several other records with public DNS provider. So what are those records? Let us discuss what are the essential DNS record for Microsoft 365. All right. The first one is nothing but TXT record. Why we required this TXT record? The purpose is used for domain verification and email security. That is the purpose of TXT record. Microsoft 365 asks you to add TXT record to confirm ownership of your domain. You are registering your ownership. So the second benefit of adding TXT record is for SPF, Sender Policy Framework, which helps prevent email spoofing by specifying which mail servers are authorized to send emails from your domain. So we are specifying the mail server which are authorized to send emails for your domain so that we can avoid email spoofing. So for these two purposes, we use TXT record to our ownership to prevent email spoofing. So while adding this TXT record in the public DNS, even in the GoDaddy, we can prove our ownership. We can prevent email spoofing. All right. And the second record is nothing but MS record. Purpose of MS record is to direct email to correct server responsible for receiving emails for your domain. The other important record is SPF record, Sender Policy Framework. As I told you just before, it is part of TXT record. SPF specifies the IP address and the domain authorized to send emails on behalf of your domain. SPF record prevent email spoofing. So the another essential DNS record is nothing but CNAME record. The purpose of CNAME record is that it maps an alias name to true domain name, which is useful for directing traffic to Microsoft 365 services. Often used to redirect traffic to specific services. For example, you might add CNAME records for the service like auto discover for exchange online, or enterprise registration and enterprise enrollment for device management. For all this purpose, you can use CNAME. The other record is nothing but SRV record. This defines the location, host name and port of servers for specific services. If you consider its usage, used to primarily for Skype for business or Microsoft Teams, it helps Microsoft 365 clients to discover services like instant messaging and other Microsoft 365 communication tools. So that is the purpose of SRV record. So we have to add these records in GoDaddy or any other public DNS providers. Only then our domain get healthy. As you can see here, this particular domain shows us healthy, which means all the records are properly provided in GoDaddy or in the public DNS provider. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please mark it in the comment section. If you like this video, please do subscribe and support me. That's it. Thanks for watching this video. Goodbye.